My name is Jeremiah. I'm the Training and Support Manager here at WIN-911. Welcome to this week's webinar. If you have not been following along, we've been doing these webinars weekly now and gotten some really good feedback from them, so we're going to keep doing this. Today we're going to be talking about the GE iFIX SCADA and some best practices there. So we're going to go through the slides. I have a couple of poll questions for you guys, and then go through questions at the end. So if you think of any questions during the presentation, go ahead and just type them into that question section, and I'll try to address as many as I possibly can at the end here, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so iFIX. The agenda today, we're going to talk about where to install WIN-911, configuration in the iFIX SCU tasks, configuration in the WIN-911 workspace, how to bring alarms into WIN-911, and then a quick overview of the log viewer and some troubleshooting. So where to install WIN-911, and this is just directly out of our install checklist. This will be included in the resources screen that I have for you guys with links to a whole bunch of stuff. But you have a single GE application with a single WIN-911 system here on the left. We need to be installed either on that iFIX server or on the iFIX view node. Either one of those is fine, just not both. And then on the right side here, so it's kind of the same thing regardless of how many redundant iFIX server nodes you have. WIN-911 needs to be installed on one of those server nodes or on the iFIX view node. So this can scale, as large as you might have in your system. But as long as we're on one of those servers or the view node with access to the alarms, that's where you want to install WIN-911. Okay, so the iFIX SCU task. So this is, just from the beginning, if you just installed WIN-911 and you haven't set anything up, that's where we're starting right here. So you want to configure the iFIX system configuration utility to start 2 executables. In the iFIX startup sequence, you're going to be calling upon the alarm queue, the ALM user queue, and our WIN-911 iFIX runtime source. The queue must be started before our runtime or you're going to run into some issues. So this is another screenshot directly out of our install checklist. It's also in our quick start guide, so this is all over the place. For you to reference, but basically this just goes through the steps, every step that you need to open up the iFIX SCU tasks. You're going to click on the browse button to find the file name, which is our iFIX directory. So program files x86 WIN-911 software down into our iFIX folder, and there's the ALM user queue executable. Now that's a GE iFIX product, that's their user queue, but we put it in our software just to keep everything in the same spot. And then in the command line, when you call upon that executable, you're going to be putting in what's in quotes there, the /n for name. This is just the name of the queue. So /n WIN-911, and then /s6000, and that S6000 is just the number of events that can be queued up, basically. Set them to background mode, click on the add button, and they drop down into your tasks. And then you're going to go ahead and add the iFIX runtime executable. Again, that's our runtime that needs to be running to connect to your iFIX. And the same thing, leave it in the background, click add, and go ahead and file save those SCU tasks, and you're done. And this is what it looks like. So when you're inside the SCU, click on configure and then tasks. That brings up this window. On the left side, you can see we're calling on the ALM user queue with the /n WIN-911 and the /s6000 command. And then below that, on the right side, we are adding the calling on the executable for our runtime. And then that command in there isn't required, that /d30, that's just a delay. If you want a delay, that's 30 seconds. You can choose to do that if you need to in your environment or not. So that's pretty much it from the SCU side. Now we'll go straight into the WIN-911 configuration, which is even easier. So really, you just need the queue name exactly how you just entered it in your iFIX SCU tasks, and it's case sensitive. So you can see here, if we go back on the left screenshot, /n is the name, capital WIN-911. And right here in the screenshot, the queue name has to be the exact same, capital WIN-911. That's pretty common, especially for people that are coming from V7 days, back in our old legacy product. Pretty common for them to accidentally mess this part up, because it used to be called Teledac. So just make sure your names are synced up and they are case sensitive. And really, that's it for the connection for the queue name. That's all you need. And then the only other option here is your iFIX security. So if you're using it, go ahead and turn on, and you can see on the bottom right screenshot, that's your username and password if you specify credentials. If you're not forcing security on your iFIX nodes, just click no security. That's about it. Quick notes here about the iFIX security. So if you are using it, you need to create a dedicated iFIX account for WIN-911. That's our recommended procedure, just because sometimes there's password change policies, or users can go in and out of being used for your iFIX side. So just create one that's dedicated to WIN-911 so the password never changes. Make sure the user account has the appropriate permissions to acknowledge alarms. That's a big one. And then for more information on how to create that dedicated user for the iFIX security side, just go to iFIX product documentation. They're going to have everything you need over there. Main thing is dedicated user for WIN-911 if possible, or at least an account that doesn't change, so you don't have to remember to come into the workspace and change the password there. All right, moving on to bringing alarms into WIN-911. So again, that's it for the connection. You do your iFIX SCU tasks, type in the queue name and security for WIN-911, and that should be it. As long as iFIX is running and it starts up those tasks in order, we're connected. So bringing alarms into WIN-911 now. It is important to understand how to use the filters. They're also known as subscriptions to bring alarms into WIN-911. The iFIX data source supports two different methods of bringing alarms. So the supported method that is required for the best overall performance, right? So the recommended method is subscription filters. This allows filtering on block names or areas. They're much less taxing on the CPU and overall performance. And it's also just really good for future proofing because it dynamically brings alarms over. So if you add a new alarm that fits the same exact existing filter criteria, the alarm is automatically going to be filtered and caught by that filter and sent to the correct strategy, as opposed to manually adding an alarm every time you add one over on the iFIX side. So the other option for bringing alarms in is the import method. Now, this is the same import method. It's similar to V7. You group alarms and point to a strategy. But again, it's recommended to use the filters. They are dynamic, does not require a lot of memory, as opposed to using the import method, making your blocks one by one. That is a huge resource hog, and it takes a long time to initialize and get everything ready to actually start processing alarms if you have a lot of blocks. If you have just 100 or under, not a big deal, but once you start getting into multiple hundreds or even thousands, you're going to be waiting quite a while for things to be initialized with a lot of blocks. So here's a screenshot directly from the WIN-911 workspace for the alarm filter method, and I'll go over what this means here. So this is in the workspace. You go into your alarming, iFIX, and then source, and you can see that we're on the filters tab. Now, in this example, we're just specifying the block name with a wildcard. So anything that starts with any text at all for that wildcard and then ends with tank, this would catch that, right? And then you can assign it to go to a strategy. And that way, instead of importing tank 1 and tank 2 all the way through to however many tanks you have, anything with the word tank in it will get caught by this one filter. And then the second example down there is you can also specify the areas, right? So all the alarms in your iFIX side, those are all assigned to alarm areas, or at least they should be. And you can specify which areas you want. So this makes it really easy for manipulating and organizing your alarms so that If you do the work up front and you change how you have your database configured and structured, you can just apply all of the alarms in group A are the ones that you want to see in WIN-911, right? And then any new alarms you might add down the road, you throw them into group A on your iFIX side, and we're automatically going to catch those. So a really good, easy, quick, dynamic way to filter for alarms, and that's the recommended way. One quick note here is that when you use multiple filter specifications here, right, so using tank and specific area A, these are ANDed together, which means it must match tank and area A. If it doesn't match both of these, if you're using more than one, if it doesn't match both, then it's not going to be caught by the filter. So just keep in mind those are ANDed together. All right, so for the import method, that is just the other tab over there. You can see on the top right of the screenshot, we're on the import tab. You can specify a logical node, click on your node name, click next, and it brings you to this screen. And you can see there's the whole list of alarms that you have on the left, and you can highlight multiple or select all, and then click on that arrow in the middle to bring them over to the right side, which is your selected blocks that you're bringing into WIN-911. Keep in mind that for any of these that you import, at the very top here, the strategy setting, that's what they're all going to be assigned to when you do this. So make sure you've created your strategy first, and you can click on the drop-down list and select that strategy, so you don't have to manually go through and change each one of those one by one to the correct strategy, or delete them all and re-import them the right way. So now this is extremely important. I've seen a lot of this lately, so I figured I'd add it here. And we'll just read through this whole thing together. This is, again, straight from the quick start guide and our install checklist. For WIN-911 to function properly, the alarm block must be assigned to at least one standard, non-custom alarm area. iFIX allows blocks to be assigned multiple alarm areas, both standard and custom, including all areas. In the screenshot below, you can see this block is using a custom alarm area called control. In order for WIN-911 to function properly, you must also include one of the default alarm areas, which again are just the letters A through P. Those are the default ones that come with iFIX. So you can see we've added the alarm area A. Make this change to all your blocks, and WIN-911 will now read the alarm updates from the alarm queue. Basically, if you're using just custom areas and you don't have one of the predefined default standard areas of A through P, it's not going to work. We're not going to see it. You have to include one of those A through P default areas as well as the custom ones on top of that. This is done in your database configuration for your alarm areas. So you've got iFIX set up. You've got the SCU tasks calling on WIN-911 runtime. You've got your alarms brought in with alarm filters or blocks. Now we're going to talk about the log viewer and some troubleshooting steps here. So if you don't know what the log viewer is by chance, just click start, type log viewer. If you don't have indexing on your Windows machine and you can't automatically just type and search things, it's just in the WIN-911 directory where it's installed. And then here's a screenshot of it, and I just want to go over a couple of really cool things about it that you might not know. But for testing purposes, as soon as you get your filters set up or your blocks or everything's going, we're going to see the active alarms that come in right here. Okay. And one of the cool things about it is it shows you the strategy that it's hitting. You can see that over here on the right column that's highlighted. Use any alarms or filter any alarms using the filter icon. That strategy is what strategy your alarm is hitting based on your filter criteria or whatever you assigned that block to be a part of that strategy. So, for example, you set up a few different filters and you're not getting the call out you expected. Pop open log viewer, turn on your test alarm, or make whatever alarm you're looking for active. See which strategy it's hitting, and that'll tell you, maybe you're not filtering for it perfectly. It's not getting caught by the right filter. It's getting caught by something else. So you might need to tweak that filter criteria. It'll also tell you the alarm point. It'll let you see the active, inactive, acknowledged or unacknowledged alarm states. You can also check the box next to one of the alarms and click on the acknowledge button on the bottom for acknowledge selected. That'll tell you if you have your security right and your alarms set up the right way in the right areas to allow ACK. So you can have the ACK pass into iFIX. So really good tool for troubleshooting. You can also take a look at the past notifications and use that search by date time at the top right. So it's a really powerful tool to troubleshoot, to get things where you want them to be, and then to check notifications on the notifications tab for who's getting notified, and that whole structure of tactics and strategies. All right, moving on. So debug logging and event viewer logs, powerful tool. This is what we in support are going to use when we can't figure something out, and figured I'd include it for those of you that want to get some more logging details for yourselves if you don't know how to do this. So this also is going to be linked straight to the KB article in the resources slide I have. You can see on the top left screenshot, it's using email as an example because this is pulled straight from our KB. But you would do this for any of the modules that you're troubleshooting, right? So whether it's directly the iFIX one, our runtime, or a notifier type, you go into the install directory, go to that modules folder, email, voice, SMS, iFIX, dispatcher, whichever one you're troubleshooting, and you right-click the runtime.exe config file, open it with a notepad, and then as you can see here in the other screenshot, pretty straightforward. You take the logging flags value from default and make it debug, and save that file and restart the service for that module. And now that's going to be logging in debug mode, which is the maximum logging level. It's going to give you all kinds of good details. And you can open up Event Viewer. If you don't know what Event Viewer is, you can go ahead and Google search it, but it's just where all Windows events are located, all administrative events, application logs, and our WIN-911 logs as well. You can click Start, type Event Viewer, pull it up, expand the application logs, go down to WIN-911, and you'll see debug level logging for everything that's happening in the back end of the process that we're looking for what we're troubleshooting. So really powerful tool. And when you're done, if you find out what the issue is, you can just go ahead and turn the debug logging back to default in that same config file and restart the service. All right, so here's the resources page. Again, in the slide deck and in the recording that we've posted on our webinars page, this will be available. We got the install checklist, quick start guide, filter and import video, the iFIX Watchdog and Heartbeat webinar, and how to enable debug logging for that KB article. Some other things I want to go over real quick before we jump into any questions that you guys typed in there. Some recent changes that we've made. So for iFIX specifically, we improved the block initialization performance. So, again, back to the fact that if you're just using blocks and you have a lot of them, it's going to take a while to initialize and get everything set up. We've tried to streamline that as much as possible. We've also improved the block import performance. We've updated the WIN-911 Essentials, which is that GE Essentials license. If you're familiar with that, they have their own license. And we updated that release coming this summer. That is also going to support our new Sierra wireless modems that we currently support. We're adding OAuth support because that's coming. If you did not know, Gmail and Office 365 and some other web-based email providers are forcing OAuth. You're not going to be able to use the old school method of just username and password. So we got ready for that. We fixed an issue where you weren't interpreting the ACK all message from iFIX. So that's fixed. And then Watchdog block names are now all caps required. Webinars on deck. So next week we'll be doing system platform. And then the week after that, I'm going to do an in-depth troubleshooting and some cool capabilities. You saw a little bit of it with the debug logging, but this will be all about troubleshooting for all the modules for that one. So that's exciting. And thank you for sticking around. We really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the questions section real quick. And all right. So all right, we got quite a few questions here. So are there any pitfalls during the WIN-911 interactive install process that can have lasting effects on the functionality? if not performed properly, such as account under which the software is installed, etc. Yeah, so Dustin, I recommend going back to our webinars page and watching my install tips and tricks webinar. I go through all of the information about the account that's being used, how it should not change. If you have to make your own account that's a local admin that doesn't change the password, it never expires, do so, please. If you install it with an account and the password changes, WIN-911 is broken. So definitely go look at the install tips and tricks webinar. Other than that, the account that you're using, other than that, any issues during the installer, that really should be errors during the installation phase itself that you're running into. If it installs successfully and it's not the admin account related, there shouldn't really be any issues that you run into. And then another question here, I thought if you install it on an iFIX server, you'd need a modem per server from that. If you're talking about a modem like an SMS modem or a TAPI modem or something like that, yeah, you do want that for redundant purposes. You want a modem on each WIN-911 installation, and that's just required as best practices supported from us. You don't want a single point of failure from one modem, so one for each WIN-911 setup. Can it be installed on both the primary and the secondary? From Garth. Yeah, so as far as redundancy goes, yeah, you can install WIN-911 on your primary node, and then on your backup node for iFIX, install WIN-911 there as well, and they'll be in standby together. We also have plenty of information on that in the install checklist and in the redundancy backup KB article. So jump on our website, and maybe I can just go to that here after these questions and show you guys, for anybody that wants to stick around. I'll show you how to navigate to that stuff on our website. But yeah, we have information on that already. All right, our client uses iFIX and WIN-911 Interactive. We have strategy set as stop when alarm is act. That's good. But they would like to get notified when an alarm source is cleared. I can change to stop when terminal. It's talking about the stop condition here, so stopping it when terminal instead of stopping it when it's act. But it will keep calling until the alarm is cleared. They just need to stop when act, but get notified when the alarm is cleared. So Rosa, yeah, that's kind of that's a difficult situation created by what you guys need, right? So from the WIN-911 call out standpoint, your two options are going to be stop the strategy, which is stop the call out list when it's acknowledged, or stop it when it's terminal, which is acknowledged and inactive. If you want it to be notifying you as soon as it's cleared, then there's no way you're going to be able to use the stop condition as when it's acknowledged. If you use stop condition as acknowledged, everything stops. There's no re-notification after that, and regardless of whether the alarm is inactive or active, that is stopped. So, I mean, really, what I would recommend is if you must be notified when it's cleared, you're going to have to use the stop condition of when it's terminal instead of when it's acknowledged. And you might have to be, stepping up to the advanced strategies and tactics license to make that happen. Yeah, there's not a simple solution to that one for your needs in the interactive. All right, next question here. Can WIN-911 Interactive be installed in a computer on the SCADA network with access to the SCADA servers, but with no iFIX software? No, so it has to be on a view node or the iFIX server. It has to be one of those two, Dustin. So, and the reason is that you need to call upon that alarm user queue from the local machine where that file is. You can't be going across the network to a different machine to pull that. Next question here, can WIN-911 user account be a domain account if iFIX utilizes Windows accounts? We always recommend just using a local admin account. WIN-911 can absolutely run as a domain account, but again, highly recommended just to use a local admin. That domain admin should be should be a member of the group local admins anyway, if you're doing things right on the domain side. and WIN-911 can run as that forever. And as far as it running with the iFIX utilizing Windows accounts, yeah, that's fine. Again, the only security and the only account credentials we need from security into iFIX is what you manually put in the WIN-911 workspace settings for security for iFIX. So that's fine. Another question here, is there a tech note available on customizing voice greetings? What language is being used to customize the voice SMS greeting? Yeah, so we do have a tech note on customizing alarm formats, but as far as the voice greeting, that you just type in. You just type that into the voice gateway settings on the audio tab. Now, as far as what is, what is spoken out for the alarm itself, that's coming straight from your alarm format option. So you go into each person individually in your connections screen, right? Every voice notifier person that you've added with their phone number, and you can assign an alarm format to each one of those. Whether you want to use the condition description, the alarm description, the long format, the short format. And for making custom ones, that it's using XSLT format. So if you're not familiar with that, you might want to do a search on it. And basically, you can just copy one of the existing alarm format options, copy it and give it a name, and edit it and play around with taking out containers or adding containers for different alarm fields. You can go to our knowledge base and search custom alarm formats, and there should be a couple articles on there. All right, next question from Matt. For bringing alarms in, is that processing required just when importing tags? Okay, so I think you're talking about for the block import, bringing alarms in. That processing is done every time you restart the machine or restart iFIX. It has to go through and initialize every block that you've imported as a block instead of using filters. All right, what is the process required to enable the WIN-911 alarm log to be accessible from other computers on the network? Okay, yeah, we have, for the log viewer, I believe is what you're talking about. We have a KB article on that as well. Just go to our knowledge base and type in remote log viewer. I thought the native alarm area A through P was only required when using the W user queue. Well, I don't know what's changed on that part from the iFIX side, but I know that that's our requirements, whether you're using the ALM user queue or the W user queue. Best practice to have at least one of those standard alarm areas in there.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, this is Jeremy with WIN-911. I was just going to add, you can use custom alarm areas with iFIX as well. You have to make sure it's case sensitive as well. So.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Jeremy. What is your solution to customers that do not have connection to the internet? I'm wondering what. Oh, you might be asking that about my poll question there, Jesus. So we have the ability to install that agent that I was talking about from Logic Monitor to do all of that really cool stuff if you have internet. We also have the option, if you don't have internet on that WIN-911 machine, you need at least somewhere on your network. You need one box that is in your DMZ or something that has internet access on the same network that can reach the WIN-911 machine, and then you can install the collector there. So it's kind of like a proxy. And when we roll that out, you'll get some more info on it. But the WIN-911 machine does not have to have internet for that. We've gotten some new info from Logic Monitor. As long as you have a machine somewhere that can access it and it has internet access, just like a proxy, you can use that. Would all the information be able to be stored on a local server? No, this is specifically a cloud-based solution from a company called Logic Monitor that we're going to be going with. So this is all stored securely in the cloud, encrypted, and it has a year's worth of data backup. How does the WIN-911 Watchdog work with iFIX? That's going to be in the resources tab. I included that there. So if you go to our website, and we have, let me go back here on the slides. We have the link here for the iFIX Watchdog and Heartbeat video. That'll take you straight to it. If you want to go to our website and find it, you just go here and resources, documentation, or how-to videos. All the links are right here in this top paragraph. We have the webinars, knowledge base, how-to videos, and we have one for each SCADA out there, notifier types and whatnot. And then you can also go back to here and click on webinars. And we have all of our past webinars down here. And they're grouped by sections there. So yeah, use that link for the resources for that specifically. All right, next question here. Is there a way to act all active alarms in WIN-911 with a single text message? No, you have to act those individually for each alarm message that comes through. Or you can just open up the log viewer and act the whole page.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. We do have that. I know on the feature request list. I think we've had a request for every notifier to do that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. So I'm sure it's something we will implement eventually.
Yeah, it's probably in the works. It's not available today, but if it's in the feature request section, we have an eye on it. That's for sure. Thanks, Jeremy. Can you speak about how the local announcer works with this version versus legacy version? Yeah, so if you guys aren't aware about the local announcer, it's a different installation now. It's not just automatically included like the old V7, and it works a little differently. You can install it anywhere. For that one, again, go to our webinar section. We have the announcer. In fact, since I'm on the page, it's right there. So watch the webinar on it. We have documentation on how to set it up, and a lot of good info there. Same with Heartbeat, Watchdog, everything else. Use that documentation and videos. Let's see. Can iFIX have a handshake? Can iFIX have a handshake to iFIX so a user could click a button to change the on-call operator to call out? Currently, operators have to go into WIN-911 manually and change the on-call operator. Oh yeah, so we released the contact and schedule utility last year. And again, we have a webinar on that and documentation on that. You'd install the contact utility. And I believe we actually have a KB article on specifically how to set that up on your SCADA view as well. So if you go to knowledge base, so yep, right there, launch contact utility from iFIX. Tells you how to make the button, and you're calling on our executable once you install the contact utility. Al Thomas says, would you want a separate Grandstream modem on your primary and secondary SCADA machine? Yeah, so again, the recommended way of doing things for redundancy is to have your primary have a connection to Grandstream and your backup. Now, that's not 100% required. You can make it work with one, since the Grandstream is a network device that you talk to based on IP and a SIP connection. Where you're going to run into issues is when the main one isn't fully down and it's still registered. That one's taking up that line, and if that process isn't done perfectly, then your backup isn't going to be able to register and authenticate to that line. So again, officially, the supported version is having a backup modem for each one. But if you want to take it on to make sure you do all those steps to get one completely unregistered and down and gone, and then register your new one to it, that is doable. Yep, all of our webinars are posted to our website. They're usually up there within a day or two. When you said about using alarm log format, what do you mean by that? Are you referring to the iFIX extended alarm fields? No, so Chris, on that one, I'm talking about you have an alarm format option for what you see or don't see from WIN-911 alerts. And you can change the long format, short format, text, or different alarm filters to include that criteria. And it's just going to grab different attributes that already exist in your iFIX. So it's whether you want more data or less data.
I guess to add to that, if you're using imported blocks, you can customize the descriptions in 911. If you're using pages and subscriptions or filters, then we're going to use your, of course, the properties, the way you lay it out, you have the ability to configure that, but we're going to use your native iFIX description. And we do support the longer tag names and descriptions as well with the latest iFIX versions. Excuse me.
Yep. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Does iFIX have to be running as a service for WIN-911 to run, Jesus? Actually, no. And I've seen issues with it running as a service personally. I mean, I know it can be done, but it should be running as an application. Our runtime for the iFIX connection runs as an application, not as a service. So definitely recommend to run iFIX as the application version. Is there a method to restart WIN-911 from WIN-911? Does WIN-911 have to be running as a service, or can it be running as an application? So all of WIN-911 runs as services except for the iFIX runtime. So you have a service for the dispatcher, you have a service for navigation, a service for SMS, email, voice, anything you're using, it's all a service that's installed as that local admin account, except the iFIX runtime, which needs to be running as an application. And that's what you call upon with the iFIX SCU tasks that we talked about in the webinar. Now, for a method of restarting WIN-911, if you're talking about just the runtime, you can just close the runtime and restart it. That's fine. Or you can build that into something that you guys write in your own HMI screen for your iFIX side. But it's just closing that app and restarting that app for the iFIX runtime. Now, restarting all of WIN-911, you can restart all the services if you want. You can reboot the machine, or you can restart. There's one service called the World Wide Web Publishing Service. If you restart that one, it'll restart all WIN-911 services. But yeah, iFIX is just the application running, and that'll be in your system tray icons. Okay, looks like that is all the questions. Thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you for your feedback in the polls. Great questions. Hopefully got them all answered. Use our documentation, our videos, webinars, everything from the past to help you out. And as always, we're here in support to help you as well, as long as you're valid in support. And look for some more updates coming soon. We're probably going to send out a constant contact campaign to get some final questions and final numbers for who's all interested in this program, so we can start rolling that out soon. Thank you so much, and everybody stay safe, and good luck to you. Have a good rest of your week.